Now, Bernie Sanders is coming under fire for a campaign surrogate's remark at a recent rally in New York City. Now, I want to show you just a little bit of a video of the remarks by Sanders surrogate Dr. Paul Song. And by the way, Paul Song is a huge proponent of Medicare for all, which is why he signed on to the Bernie Sanders campaign. Anyway, I want to show you this in the context of his remarks because it's about universal health care. Anyway, let's take a look.
Well, I agree with Secretary Clinton that Medicare for all will never happen if we have a president who never aspires for something greater than the status quo. Medicare for all will never happen if we continue to elect corporate Democratic whores who are beholden to big pharma.
Okay, Medicare for all will never happen if we continue to elect corporate Democratic whores who are beholden to corporations and big pharma. Okay, hey, I definitely get what he's saying. And I agree with what he's saying. However, not quite the words I would use. Here's the thing, right? You know he means bought politicians. We know his context. We know where he's coming from. And since we know where he's coming from, I don't think it was a sexist smear. Not at all. In fact, I think to suggest that would be a slam on sex workers, to compare them to corrupt politicians. Sex workers are a lot better than corrupt politicians. You know why? Because prostitutes make people feel good while they're fucking them. A lot of these corporate politicians, they don't. Still, at the end of the day, I personally would not use that word because, look, it's really easy to turn that around and use it as so-called proof that all Sanders supporters are just sexist Bernie bros. I don't like using that term because, look, nobody's going to hand ammunition over to the other side that's more than willing to use it. And trust me, they are. Words that I would use is corrupt, bought, shill, maybe. Those I think are better in my opinion, and they don't carry that same stigma attached to them. As I said, I don't think whores are a bad thing. Politicians that are bought and sold by special interests in order to represent special interests instead of the people, those are the bad things. Whores and prostitutes, not so bad. Remember, Jesus hung out with prostitutes after all. Not such a bad thing, right? But anyway, now obviously after this, there were some pretty pissed off Hillary supporters. And I get that, and because they think that it's been directed solely at her because she's a woman. Well, it's got nothing to do with her being a woman and everything to do with taking legal bribes from banks and big corporations that you're promising to regulate. That's what's relevant. That's the issue here. And that, I think, is what Dr. Song meant. Remember, huge advocate for Medicare for all, for single-payer healthcare, to expand coverage not just from 90% of people, which, by the way, a lot of those people cannot afford their deductibles and their rates, their premiums. Medicare for all would solve that problem. 100% coverage with no out-of-pocket costs, all paid for through taxes. That would be a much better system. But we do have this for-profit health industry that tends to put money in a lot of the pockets of the politicians in order to keep it the status quo. That's what he means. Anybody who knows that context and understands how unfair our system is can understand the connection between money and politics and the fact that we don't have progressive systems like Medicare for all in place. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to disagree with that. So that's why I personally avoid using that word. Now, for his part, Dr. Song apologized on Twitter yesterday night, tweeting out, quote, "I am very sorry for using the term whore to refer to some in Congress who were beholden to corporations and not us. It was insensitive." Fair enough. To be honest, I think this is a bit of a controversy, but nonetheless, media seems to be making a pretty big deal of it, so we'll roll with it. Now, Jennifer Palmieri, Clinton's communication director, called this remark, quote, "very distressing language," and urged Sanders to disavow it. Debbie Wasserman Schultz told CNN's New Day, quote, "I certainly don't know the person that made that outrageous and inappropriate comment, but it's good that he recognized it was outrageous and inappropriate and reined it in and apologized." Senator Claire McCaskill had also went on Morning Joe and actually said this. Let's take a look.
There were some fairly ugly words thrown around last night here in New York at the Bernie Sanders rally.
Yeah, I worry about the tone, and I worry about it on both sides. I think it's really important we keep the tone where it should be. It is unacceptable for anybody to reference Hillary Clinton as a corporate whore. And that's what happened in the introduction last night at that rally. And I have not yet heard Bernie Sanders say totally unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable.
And we should say that Bernie Sanders has just tweeted that it was inappropriate and unacceptable himself.
Well, good for him. But he should have done it from the podium the minute those words were issued. There was a huge cheer that went up when Hillary Clinton was called a corporate whore. And that's when the candidate has to step in and go, wait a minute, guys. Remember what the real enemy is here. It is the policies and values represented by Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. We've got to be united in November. There's way too much at stake. That's why tone matters.
Okay, I just have to mention, right? Oh man, he didn't even apologize for it. Actually, yeah, he just tweeted this out where he calls it unacceptable. Oh, well, good for him. Good for him. But he should have said it as soon as he got to the podium. Well, look, he didn't, because he wasn't even at the rally when Dr. Song said that. How is he supposed to know? Precognition? Is he supposed to have a mental link with all of his surrogates to know exactly what they're saying, when they're saying, so that when he comes to the podium, he can say, I didn't mean that. He didn't mean that. I disavow that guy. No, of course not. Makes no sense. In fact, as soon as he did find out, he issued this tweet. There was no, Dr. Song's comment was inappropriate and insensitive. There's no room for language like that in our political discourse. To that I say, okay, I agree. Let's keep the campaign to the issues. That's where we win. Don't let them distract everyone from the issues by giving them ammunition like this that they're more than happy to use against us. Remember, their overall plan, and I've pointed this out before, is to disqualify and then defeat Bernie. Let's make sure that she's the one that gets defeated in July.